Hello everyone and welcome to Felix's Space Time. In today's video I have an interview with Graeber, the Assistant Launch Director for the Artemis programs. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy.
Same type, we're go, flight.
Okay, we're go.
We're go, same type, we're go.
Thank you so much for coming on here for an interview today. For those who might not know you, could you tell everyone a bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Jeremy Graeber. I work for NASA in the Exploration Ground Systems program here at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And I'm the Assistant Launch Director for the Artemis missions. Lived in Florida most of my life, got my great, amazing family, wife and my kids, Stefanie, and then Olivia, Jenna, and Jack. And just really excited to talk to you about what I do and what Artemis is all about.
Amazing. A quick, simple question for you. Can you walk me through a typical day in your position?
Sure. So the great thing about my job, one of the great things is every day is a new day. There's always something exciting and challenging out in front of us. My day, hour to hour, can range from participating in a launch countdown simulation, getting us ready for Artemis 2, or working with a team that is developing new capabilities for future missions. And then maybe I jump over to another test that's being performed where we are running our ignition overpressure sound suppression system and flowing hundreds of thousands of gallons of water out of our elevated water tank through our mobile launcher and out onto our deck to demonstrate how that water will protect the Artemis launch vehicle and the ground from the massive loads and heat and different forces that happen at launch. So it's really exciting to see all of those different aspects of launch countdown. And I'd say one of the best things about what I get to do every day is I get to work with different teams. And, one great thing about NASA is that NASA has a really good methodology and history of developing teams and putting teams together. And our teams live up to that absolutely. And just working with those teams is fantastic.
Sounds like an amazing job to be in, very exciting. For all the people out there, for all the young people out there, what did you study in school that helped you qualify for your job at NASA?
So let's see, in high school, took all of the honors or AP level math and science. That was really where I felt most comfortable. And then in college, I obtained my degree. I have a bachelor's in science, mechanical engineering. And so that's really the great thing is about having an engineering degree, and the things you learn from that is they're very applicable into many different aspects of a job. Being a problem solver is just as important as the math and science, and being able to understand how things work and be able to devise different ways to figure out a path to success. And so carrying that from college into the workplace has really been a benefit, and I think I've really expanded that piece of it, the problem solving side of it, through my career.
Wonderful. You mentioned kind of growing up in Florida. That kind of relates to my next question. What first sparked your love for space and spaceflight?
Well, I've told a couple of these stories before, but I'll share them with you as well. So what I would say is, first and foremost, Star Wars. I grew up in the start of the Star Wars age, so absolutely that really piqued my interest, had me hooked from the first minute. And right in that same time frame, I was actually my family. We were living in Denver, Colorado, and it was in the late 70s. And one of the things that was going on in that time frame from a space program perspective was the space shuttle program was ramping up. And as the space shuttles were transported on top of 747 aircraft. And in that late 70s timeframe, when one of those vehicles was being moved across the country, it wasn't a quick flight. There were different stops that you had to make along the way. And just so happened that when we lived in Denver, one of those vehicles had stopped at the Denver airport at the time. And my dad said, hey, let's go see what this new American space vehicle is. Let's go see it firsthand. So we went to the airport and stood up against the fence line, looking out on the runway, and was able to see the space shuttle on top of the 747. And that really, I mean, I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and that just stuck in my head that this is amazing. This is something that I really like. And it's amazing to think that, you know, several years later, 20 years later, I was actually out here working on that same space shuttle vehicle that I saw on top of that 747 when I was 6 years old. So it's amazing path to get to where I'm at. But yeah, it definitely started when I was pretty young.
That's amazing. I've read that you previously worked as the Chief of Test, Launch and Recovery Operations branch within Exploration Ground Systems. Can you tell me a bit more about this role and any others you've had while at NASA?
Sure. So one of the great things and privileges I really have had is I've had the opportunity to do a lot of really great and fun and exciting jobs. And you know, I think all of the people that came before me that kind of laid the groundwork to allow me to step into those positions. But the specific job, the chief of the test, launch, and recovery branch, one of the great things about that job is all of the NASA test directors um, and recovery test directors, so all worked for me. And so I had a really great opportunity to help grow those engineers into better and better NASA test directors and recovery directors. One of the best things about that kind of job is being able to help somebody who's learning something move along and get better and better at it. And that there's a lot of satisfaction in that part of the job. And the other part was having experience. So I'll just mention a couple of things that I've done. So during the space shuttle program, as a NASA test director, I was the lead NASA test director for STS-132 for launch. So that's kind of a high mark for a NASA test director, is to be the test director on launch day and be responsible for planning and executing that launch countdown. So that was a really big deal. As we moved further into the after space shuttle program was retired, I had an opportunity for the first Orion flight. It was Exploration Flight Test 1, and that was a really early Orion vehicle that was launched on a commercial rocket, and it had basically about a 2 orbits before it then splashed down off the coast of San Diego, about 600 miles west of San Diego out in the Pacific. And I was the NASA recovery director leading that team in conjunction with the US Navy to go recover that Orion spacecraft. And so that was a really fun and exciting opportunity. And then coming into our path to Artemis 1, having that launch experience from the space shuttle program, having that recovery experience from Exploration Flight Test 1, being the chief of the office that covers all of those things I was in a unique position, having done all of them and be able to help all of the rest of the office, you know, become more proficient at doing that job. So really exciting. And the very great thing is that I have a really close relationship with that organization still, because they work directly for the launch director, Charlie Blackwell Thompson, who I work directly for as well. So still have that callback to that organization. And not only was I the previous chief for that, but Charlie was also the chief of that office. So there's a lot of history that goes along with it.
Amazing. Kind of one of the answers that jumped out at me just now was about the Orion recovery. Could you tell me a bit more about that, kind of the role, kind of things you had to do through that kind of process experience kind of thing?
Sure. So that's one of, from an exploration ground systems program, we've got two parts of this. We've got all of the build the rocket, test the rocket, launch it. Then our friends at Johnson Space Center have the responsibility to run the in-space operations for the whole mission. And then, so we hand the vehicle off to them at launch. They take it and they run with it for the whole duration of the mission. And then at splashdown, they hand it back to exploration ground systems and our recovery team. So as a NASA recovery director, that job is to work directly with the U.S. Navy off of an LPD ship, which is a ship capable of basically the back of the ship opens up and allows what they call their well deck to flood with water. And what we do is through a whole bunch of different methods, we get a hold of the spacecraft in the water, and then we pull it in conjunction with the Navy. They pull it into that well deck. We put it down on a cradle, drain all the water out, and now we've got the spacecraft recovered into that well deck, protected, and then we bring the vehicle home. So for EFT1, the mission I had, it was a one day mission essentially, not crewed, and it was really to gather engineering information, gather some data off of that vehicle to help develop Artemis 1's Orion spacecraft and future Artemis 2. As we move to Artemis 2, the recovery operations with a flight crew, that will be the first time we demonstrate that with a real as part of the mission, and that adds several new responsibilities for the NASA recovery director, and ensuring the safety of the crew is absolutely paramount. And there are several very specific operations and methods that they use to go get the crew out of the vehicle onto the Navy ship and into medical care to make sure that they are safe, and then transport them back to land.
Wonderful. Sounds like an amazing experience. You mentioned before in your last answer about about Charlie Blackwell Thompson. So you support and assist her as she being the Artemis Launch Director. What's it like working with her? I've heard a lot of amazing things.
So Charlie and I have been working together for coming up on 20 years. We both started our careers out at Kennedy Space Center on two different contractor functions, not working directly as NASA employees. But in 2004, we both, our careers led us to both end up in the NASA Test Director office, and we started within about a month of each other. So we've been working together in many ways since then. And Charlie is by far one of the best leaders that I've ever worked with or for. We have a really great working relationship in that there are things that she's really good at that I am not, and things that I'm good at that she is not. We're both good at a lot of stuff, but we really do pair well together. And we, for me, my main job is to ensure she has everything that she needs on launch day, so that she can make the absolute best decisions. She's got all of the right information available to her. Many folks are providing her that information, but I'm right there with her and giving her that very close information. So she does a fantastic job. One of the best things that she does is, I talked about how NASA is really good at developing teams. Well, Charlie is the best at developing teams. And I think if you ask anyone that has ever worked on a team with Charlie, they'll say that was one of the best teams I've ever worked on. And it's really because how she fosters the relationship with everybody in the team, how people are empowered within her teams to have responsibilities, and they're not kind of pigeonholed into different bits and pieces. She listens to everybody and advocates for her teams to get things that they need or to be more successful. So she's great to work with, and all you have to do is look at like the Artemis 1 launch video that of our console, and you can see her dedication and her focus on her function and her responsibility, and kind of what do they say? A picture speaks 1,000 words. Absolutely, you can see that in how she executed the work in Artemis 1.
Amazing. You mentioned about Artemis 1. This leads on to my next question. So you worked as the Assistant Launch Director for Artemis 1 and will soon be working on Artemis 2, or I presume already. What's it feel like to have such a huge contribution in bringing humans back to the moon?
Well, when you put it that way, it's pretty exciting. What it really is now is, you know, it's a lot of hard work, and sometimes it's a challenge because there's so much and so many things that you have to work through. But the great thing is every time I come on to Kennedy Space Center, come to work, I mean, my office is in the Launch Control Center right next to the vehicle assembly building. And I nearly every day as I'm driving in, I think to myself, I'm so lucky I get to work here. Like this is exactly what I wanted growing up, and I actually get to do it. And to be a part of, Artemis 1 was so unique in all of the different, compared to many of the other things that I've done, because when I came into the space shuttle program, it was very mature. It was a 30-year program. I came in at year 15, so I was right in the middle. So I didn't have to develop any of the things that were necessary. Those had already been developed. I just had to learn how to do it, learn the job. As we moved into the Artemis development, we had to create everything, all of our capabilities on the ground, while the flight hardware designers were developing their part of it. We were developing all of our procedures. We were figuring out how our command and control system was best utilized, but we had to build all of that up from the bottom. And so there was a lot of pride and accomplishment for our whole team to get through Artemis 1, because what it really did was it laid the foundation that is now, we all know that piece now. It's there. And so all of our missions that are going to come after Artemis 1 will rely on that great learning that we did leading up to it. And now we can build on it. We don't have to create that part of it again. It's all there. And now we can just build, everything on top of that foundation. So knowing that our next step is to put astronauts back to the moon, and then the next step after that is to put boots on the moon, and all of this is leading to a permanent presence on the moon with our eventual big steps out to Mars. I couldn't imagine doing anything more exciting, and definitely can't see myself doing any other type of job.
Amazing. Yeah, I can't wait for Artemis 2 to finally see some humans back orbiting around the moon. That's going to be amazing. I think you've kind of already answered my next question in your last answer, but we'll go over it again. What preparations are you already doing to plan for the first crewed flight of SLS Artemis 2?
So there are a whole lot more things that I haven't mentioned already. So one of the main things that we're doing, we're training our launch team to be ready for launch. So we will perform somewhere in around 30 launch countdown sims leading up to the Artemis 2 launch. Those are just the really big sims that we do with our whole team. There will be sims that we do at lower levels along the way. So that's a really big focus item for us. We're also in a stage right now where we've moved our mobile launcher out to Launch Pad 39B, and we are doing testing and demonstration operations. We call them integrated systems verification and validation operations. And what that really means is these are big tests that bring a whole lot of different capabilities together, and we go try to demonstrate as close as possible without a vehicle there, how all of our systems will work on launch day or on a test day. And so we're actively working on those. We just 2 weeks ago just completed the first one of those ISVBs, and it was our demonstration of our launch day operations for our flight crew and their transportation from crew quarters out to the launch pad and up into the crew access arm and into the white room, which is our interface into the Orion spacecraft. You might have seen some of the imagery from that. It was really great to have our flight crew here, first time, have them suited up in flight suits and have them actually taking those first demonstration steps towards going to the moon. It was great to hear some feedback from our flight crew that said it's really amazing to take these first steps in this demonstration. Feels really close to what it's going to feel like on the real launch day. And if it feels anything like we felt today, it's going to be only, a million times more exciting when we go do this for real. So those types of operations. And then we'll be testing out many of the different systems on the mobile launcher. And then I'd say the next big piece is we're developing all of the testing and operations that we will do leading up to Artemis 2 as the different parts of flight hardware arrive here at Kennedy Space Center. And I'm happy to report the first pieces of our Artemis 2 launch vehicle. Some of our booster segments for our solid rocket boosters have arrived here at Kennedy Space Center. We have started to process those and prepare those to eventually be stacked on top of the mobile launcher. And so that's exciting. We've got that flight hardware here. The Orion spacecraft is here on Kennedy Space Center property being worked on by Lockheed Martin to get it ready for us to be delivered. So it's absolutely exciting right now, and it's great to see this path towards Artemis 2 picking up.
Yeah, it must be amazing to see the rocket that you're going to launch soon start to come together.
Yes, sir.
My final question, it might seem a bit obvious, but what are your plans for the future?
Well, as I kind of said earlier, this I can't imagine doing anything besides what I'm doing right now. Couldn't ask for anything better. When there's that old saying that do something that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That's pretty true. I love this job, and some days it feels like work, but most days it feels like I'm just so privileged and fortunate to get to do this. And so yeah, so it will be. I'm with Artemis until I finish my career, pretty much.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on here for an interview today. You had amazing answers to all of my questions. It was amazing to learn kind of more about you and what's coming together for the Artemis 2 mission. And I can't wait to see Artemis 2 launch soon.
Great. Thanks, Felix. I really appreciate the chance to talk with you, and have a great one.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and see you next time.